name is Anne Sharkey, and I'm a social studies teacher. I teach out of Huntley, Illinois, which is west of Chicago in the U.S. Tonight, we're going to be going ahead and talking about Girl Rising and talking about all the amazing things that we have as far as curriculum and opportunities and chances for girls and women and everyone to learn a little bit more about the programs that we have here. We are going to be joined by Kari Byron, who is going to be involved in today's discussion by really looking at our different programs.
Hello!
Hello! Hi, Kari.
So nice to see you.
You too.
So I wanted to ask you, since you actually are implementing the Girl Rising episodes of EXPLR in your classroom, I wanted to ask you how it's going, first of all.
It's great. I mean, they're videos that are just amazing and so inspiring, and it's really one of those things of really getting the students engaged, and so far it's been great. I mean, I've never had a bad experience using Girl Rising, and everything that's available on EXPLR has been great to see.
So for everybody who's unfamiliar with EXPLR, it is a new platform that we launched this year, which takes short format, highly produced videos and adds lesson plans written by world savvy. It's incredible, but one of my favorite series in the world is Girl Rising, and I feel like it really connects the dots. And Girl Rising is a series that profiles girls around the world and how education impacts them. But have you found that in your classroom that it's not just something relatable to girls, but boys as well?
Yeah, it really is something. It's been amazing. I think Girl Rising as a curriculum is something that's very relatable to the girls. But the idea of just these stories and kind of what changes can be made, the idea of just really kind of seeing the way that it's not just about girls and women's rights is not just a women's issue, but men, boys, everybody has to get involved to kind of support the girls in order to see what they can do next and see what support they need from their community.
I mean, equality is a human issue.
Correct.
Feminism is a human issue. I love that it's having an impact on all genders.
Yeah.
When did you start using Girl Rising and EXPLR?
I started using Girl Rising as a film all the way back in about 2014. So it's been quite some time I've used it. It really has been something I've used throughout the years in a variety of different classes, just with different topics, everything from looking at different areas to anything else. Using the EXPLR curriculum is really just something I've seen just recently. And so really just a different curriculum. Girl Rising has curriculum. And obviously as teachers, we make stuff up all the time, but really kind of seeing the connection to human rights, especially on the EXPLR curriculum, has been really good to see.
I'm just hoping that we can create a sense of empathy among the youth today. I mean, we really underestimate the teens and tweens. They are so much more politically activated and sophisticated these days. And I love when you see that spark of connection and empathy between the kids here and globally. Because, I mean, as a geography teacher, you know, we are one world, and we definitely have to solve our problems globally now.
Yeah.
What have you had any like special experiences with like certain kids?
Yeah, and it's always just amazing because anytime I hear like kids nowadays, and sure, kids are annoying sometimes, but kids nowadays, you know, they are motivated, and the future of all these things they really kind of feel that connection to. I have a student that as a freshman saw Girl Rising, and she's now a senior, so 4 years later, and it really has shaped her entire experience, from what fields they want to go into to really for her looking at this idea of kind of she's based her entire coursework for me over the 4 years on Girl Rising and on the idea of access to education, everything from writing letters to governments to, you know, creating action projects, creating videos about awareness about different issues, and even worked with somebody who works with Girl Rising in Kenya as far as doing kind of her senior capstone project. And so it's been really something that inspired her, and I never expected it. I expected, okay, here's a great film. It's informational. It's, you know, inspiring. It's the thing that has connected with my students more than anything else. It's the thing that they remember and talk about the girls by name years later.
Yeah, I do that too. It's almost like I know them now. I heard on a cable comedy news related show very recently where the host was kind of rolling his eyes saying, okay, authentically, there's a lot more Kylies in the world than Greta's. And,
Yeah.
granted, there's a bigger following for social media influencers that are doing makeup tutorials than trying to be change agents. But as a teacher, and for us as a program that wants to be solution based,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a lot easier to identify the problem than try to dig in and change things. How do you see Girl Rising and Explore in that capacity? I mean, are you, I mean, you have that perfect example. Do you feel like we're actually kind of digging in a little bit?
Yeah, and I think one thing I emphasize with my students is that, sometimes all the little changes also add up. Obviously, we need big picture change. We need kind of things happening globally. But any sort of differences we can make for individuals affect all of them, everyone around them. And so one of the things we've talked about is just that individual action, whether it's writing a letter to a government official about a policy they want changed or anything, that empathy, that service learning, and that's something they have to learn, right? They don't know how to do that. They know how to post something on social media, but as far as actually kind of creating a difference, that's one of the things that I've seen with Girl Rising. And I've seen some of those changes being made where these kids want to go and do things. They don't want to just sit around. And they've realized sometimes it's little things and little steps, and it could be working with a specific NGO or organization around the world. It could just be, making a difference as far as the local community. We're at a women's shelter or whatever else. The idea that there are tons of things they can do, we just have to present them with the options, and then they'll figure out how to do it based on their own interest.
I mean, you're on the front line as a teacher. It's that whole think globally but act locally. And I really feel like through these kind of programs, you can come up with small things that make you feel so good. I personally, like a beach cleanup or a letter writing campaign when I was in high school, impacted me to this day. I think about it.
Yeah, and I think that the kids are so willing and they want to do something. They don't want to just sit to the side, but they don't necessarily have the skills. They don't necessarily have all those pieces. And so any sort of time that we can connect these stories to action and a curriculum that looks at human rights and looks at, okay, but then what's next? I think it's really one of those things where they're interested. It's just finding those outlets. And so Girl Rising has been a great way to show the students how, for example, for these 9 girls, going to school made a difference in their lives. And so even just those individual actions can make a big change.
I mean, not everybody's got that opportunity to go travel the world and see what it's like other places. I like the idea of being able to make that connection just from your small screen. I mean, everybody's looking through their Instagrams and their TikToks and whatnot. And it's yes, you create the world that's around you. And through Girl Rising, I was able to show my daughter, this is what it's like someplace else. And she looked at these girls and she's like, she's just like me. They get to have that experience. And I imagine it's like, that's just like my sister. That's just like my daughter.
Yeah, and I think that's a powerful part of storytelling is it's really easy to get stuck on data. We like numbers as people, but at the same time, we can't comprehend them. So the idea of 100 million girls being out of school is something that we can't picture really. But we can picture Mariama and we can picture Wadley and we can picture these girls and have that connection and find that common humanity in a way that otherwise I think we get stuck. We always need the idea of examples and humanizing any sort of issue. And so Girl Rising does that so wonderfully as far as creating this story that the kids can follow along, and even having the 9 different stories with 9 different feels, different music, different voices. They connect to different ones in different ways, and they find those commonalities, and they're really able to connect.
Right now on Explore, we have Soka's story up in front of the paywall, so you can just go check that out if you guys are interested. It's at EXPLR-home.com. That's our catalog. And I showed Soka's story to my daughter. And since then, I swear, she's just been picking up trash off the street so it doesn't end up in our oceans and end up getting pushed out to another country, and actually it's making her think. It's not just about the story of education. It's the story about all of us and the world that we live in.
Yeah, and it's just all the different barriers, and all of us have different barriers in our lives. And so seeing just these different girls and the different barriers that they have and how they've overcome them, sometimes on their own, sometimes with help, just that idea that it's that global community that we can all be part of to kind of create that connection and make that difference.
And all through like this positive solution driven dream. They're all moving to a better place. It's so beautiful to watch. I swear my heart just grows 3 times the size every time I watch one of them.
I know I've probably seen it a dozen times now, and every time I just watch the whole time, even though it's 90 minutes and it's a week a year that I've done for years and years. I'm captivated every single time by their stories and by these girls and all of their actions and what they've been able to overcome. And so it's inspiring. And yeah, this is definitely one of those films that has made a difference in my students' life, has made a major difference in my life as an educator.
Yeah, I mean, through COVID, what have been the biggest bumps to getting back to school for you?
I mean, it's just really the reality that it didn't feel the same. The classroom doesn't feel the same. It just isn't quite there. And so getting to see the students in person, getting all of those things, getting that enthusiasm, I can feel the difference. And so really just seeing the impact on girls' education from COVID is a little devastating as far as how many more girls are out of school. And so it really is something kind of that's more important now than ever, as everything from child marriage to HIV impacted girls in the past year more than we've ever seen before. And so it's really definitely an issue more important than ever. Looking at these stories, I think there's so many connections you can make to what's happening kind of currently. And so it's definitely been something that has been powerful, to see the students connect in just different ways as far as what it's like to not be in school and kind of how that changes things.
I mean, I feel like COVID really illuminated a lot of stuff for us, and especially the inequality in education and how much equity certain people have and certain don't. I do really like that we're able to put these lesson plans with Girl Rising out to kind of give a global studies in a way that maybe a lot of kids didn't get and still don't get. I'm hoping that our new technology understanding is going to give us a little help here.
Yeah, and I think really just that idea of how important it is for these kids, even here in the U.S., to get back to school, kind of see that importance and see a little bit of that kind of reality of their situation compared to others, a little gratitude, as far as having the accessibility to technology. Last year I was able to use Girl Rising online because they have an online platform. And so my students were able to do it even from home and virtually, but that a lot of people around the world don't have that accessibility. And so I think we've seen a lot of that, the disparity there, that has made it really interesting kind of seeing how some of these stories have clicked and hit home a little bit more.
So with EXPLR, we're doing our best to try to figure out, we're solution based, so we're also trying to figure this out. We've made it so that you can show a video in the classroom, and then if you don't have Wi-Fi at home, if you can download it in any way to a device, you can go watch it like on your phone at home without Wi-Fi. I know it's a small step, but it feels very important to me.
Yeah, and I mean, really just that any accessibility that we can get for these stories to people, I think is really important. And beyond schools, the number of students I've had that have said, oh, I made my mom and dad watch this section, or I made my mom and dad see, this story, that it really hit them. The idea that it's bigger than that, creating community, creating clubs around some of these issues to create activism, it's been really empowering.
Well, I think you and I are clearly both fans. If everybody who's a fan of me or Girl Rising wants to go check it out, I recommend going to EXPLR-home.com. Go check out Soka's story. Get a little taste and you will be addicted, and you will definitely get some heart growing with you and your family.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I'm glad you guys were able to host it.
Thank you so much for having me here today to talk to you.
Of course.
Yay for the teachers, man. You guys have the hardest and most important job. The most important job.